Good morning, everyone, and welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with AmericanScouser.com. I have the green and loving it going this morning. Trevor, what's happening, man?
Not too much, good sir. Just yeah,
Mm.
running around.
Yeah,
a little bit
Trevor
this
is in there like the hectic running pace this morning. Good morning, as always, Alan. And yeah, he just made it through the door.
Yep.
But man, it's going to be a hectic day. So keep going that hectic attitude because there's a lot of news to get to, and obviously, with the Krakow Dawn kickoff tomorrow, this is pretty much a pre-match at the same time. But let's get to the headlines first. Was that Monday we were talking about this or Tuesday? And we were like, I mean, my initial guess was any manager would have until the World Cup. And then we heard he kind of has like two games to like this game yesterday and the weekend to kind of secure his job. And then, yeah, it was more like, we don't even want you on the bus, kind of an ordeal. And like pretty much like an hour after the game ended or so. And to be honest, I don't know if you got a chance to watch it, but looking at that game, you can't blame the board for saying, you know what, let's just do this now, because it just did not look like it was going to get any better.
Yeah, there was lots of lifelessness in that team, especially after Luis got sent off. And by the way, if we're going to start calling that a headbutt, then I need to vastly change what I think is a violent action in my life. It's a headbutt because he was shorter.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. Either way, I think after that, you just saw nobody on that pitch for Aston Villa want to do anything resembling something positive. They just kind of gave up, and Stevie kind of saw the writing on the wall as he was leaving the field and knew that he was probably not going to get that second game.
Yeah, I mean, and like I say, it's just you watch that game and wait, we got to bring this guy on because hold on. First of all, it's shocking that he's up and drinking coffee. Or Gally, what's happening, man?
So what's happening, people?
Gally is the right guy to bring on for this because when we did the preseason videos, you know what? I wish there was a way to contact every single person who commented on that video. I mean, it was. To date, it might be our most seen video, and we were brand new on YouTube TV. And it's only been like 3 months anyway, but it was brand new. We were doing the preseason previews, and we did one for Villa, and we got hammered. And all we said at the time was the new manager smell of Gerrard was wearing down towards the end of the season, and it wasn't even our most brutal preview, Gally, where you were calling out fan bases and crap like that.
Yeah, fair.
Getting us in really bigger trouble.
Yeah, it's
I guess you were right because nobody watched those videos to even give us trouble. But,
correct.
The Villa ones got all kinds of comments saying we don't know what we're talking about, the whole American bias and stuff like that. And it turned out to be true where he had the talents, even added more talents, but just could not find a way to kind of put them together.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight being 2020, we basically smashed it. I think my exact comment was he won't be around. If he makes the end of the World Cup, then I'll be totally wrong. They've been doing great. And if he's still manager on January 1st, they'll be in the relegation zone. And I was 2.5 months ahead of that. So I think the thing with me was that I never saw an identity. And I think when a new manager comes to a club, especially a bigger club, and, people that just started watching the EPL in the last few years forget or don't know how big a club Aston Villa is in England. I think they play, on the third largest ground in the entire country. Maybe it's not anymore after Arsenal and Tottenham built the monstrosities.
I think it dropped now, yeah.
But it was up there for years. I mean, it was the alternate site for national team games when Wembley wasn't available. I mean, so for me, he never identified an identity. He never got any of his players never seemed to improve under him. And I think like that, I think Ramsey is coming along. Don't get me wrong. We've all talked about what a talent Jacob Ramsey is. But I think we were seeing that under Dean Smith. We've seen that under others. So, I didn't like how he handled the Mings situation. I didn't like how he would go and be like formationally flip flop in the midst of games. He never got anything out of Bailey. So, I just don't understand what they're doing. I think they threw too much talent, too much money at it. And unfortunately, I just think he needed more seasoning. He probably needed to spend more time at a club, more in the championship after even leaving Rangers. And I know it was a lot of excitement because he won the league, but he won the league because Rogers left Celtic and then they went on a downturn.
Yeah.
And now they're nowhere near that top. And you ask Rangers fans, they'll tell you they got better when he left because they got more tactically aware and they actually had an identity. And I think it's going to follow him this is a big, big blight on his CV. And I think he's going to actually have a little trouble getting back to a Premier League club.
When a new manager comes over, you kind of like, I don't know, you usually, obviously, especially if you come mid-season, you're probably walking into a chaos. So you kind of like to, the voice of reason for the first month or so. You can kind of calm things down. When you walk into a chaos, I mean, anybody who walks into a chaos and says, guys, well, there you go. Like, you just calmed everybody down. It's a new voice in the room. So everything kind of like goes for a while. And they always, I mean, they still have the talent. And, obviously they recovered from that, Trevor, but it's almost like they never took the next step. And you could already kind of tell that the chaos was starting again. And the guy that says, guys, is not as loud anymore in the locker room towards the end of the season. That guy was like, guys, come on, guys. And it was just like, they started like losing points and like, all that kind of stuff. And it almost looks like, this is what we were talking in the offseason. We were like, let's see what happens when he has an off season with this team. Maybe he'll give him some identity like Galley's talking. And basically, Trevor, that never ended up happening. Because today, if I asked you, how does Villa play or what's the plan or who's their focus, you can't really say.
No, and that is a complete indictment on Gerrard as a manager. And I agree that him coming over from Rangers, it was one of those things where he took advantage of a situation in that league where it's always just going to be a two-horse race. And if there's any bit of just slip up from one of the other teams, the other one always takes advantage. So he had that bit of credence from that one. And then he comes in and, Dean Smith kind of got hard done by, a guy that pulled that team up from the shambles that they were in. And Gerrard came in, big name, kind of just like how Lampard is with Everton. It's huge, legend in the league. It's a name that you can put up on the marquee, but does he make any of the players better? He doesn't utilize any of his strikers, I feel, in a way that optimizes what they can do. It's just, here, Danny Ings, go sit on an island, have fun, get the ball twice a game and try to score a goal either time. Oh, Ollie Watkins, you like playing up top? Here, sit next to me at the touch line. And you're like, what are you going to do with these guys? And the Mings thing, that's its own whole diatribe on its own right. But I just think it was something where he was on borrowed time for a long time, and he knew he was, and didn't do anything to take his head off the chopping block.
Yeah, it's kind of like you watched that game yesterday. Even some of the stuff that situations that Ings would get into and what his like final product and stuff like that. You're like, man, this is just not like nobody is playing like themselves. It's almost like the writing was on the wall, and like the players knew, and they almost like kind of like sped it up. And maybe even if it's not on purpose, when your fan base doesn't want you, you kind of tell the writing on the wall and you play like it probably. I don't think they I don't know about Mings, but especially the other people, I don't think they tanked it on purpose to get rid of him. But it's just, you're not yourself. You're not playing yourself. And the Premier League, man, if your mind is not there 10%, it definitely shows. And Fulham was bossing that game.
We do a good job of poking fun, especially Monday nights. In the mornings we poke fun at Rodgers. On Monday nights we do a lot of poking fun at, Fat Frank, Lampard. But really, if you told me that 4 managers would be fired before Brendan Rodgers or Frank Lampard at the beginning of August, I would have told you were absolutely crazy. But to be fair to them, especially to Frank. They're in another bad tailspin, 3 losses in a row. But you can see improvements in the Everton, at least in defense, and how they're setting up. They're not conceding as much. He looked at his talent, said, I don't have my striker in Calvert-Lewin. I got this Mope guy. He can do a job, but he's more of a defensive gnat than he is an actual attacking forward. I'm going to utilize these guys the best I possibly can. I'm going to pack it in. I'm going to go get a guy like Cody, steal him from Wolves. Like, for as much as we make fun of him, he developed Mason Mount at Derby and then at Chelsea. The kid's an absolute stud, maybe England's most consistent overall player outside of Harry Kane. And then he's starting to develop Gordon. He's got some bad habits, but he's starting to build a defensive identity at Everton. I think we have to at least give him credit. He has proven in his 4 years of managing, he's already done more, even failing once at Chelsea, than honestly Gerrard's done in anything he's done yet. He has not developed one player where I say that player is marketably better after being managed under him. And I think that's the sign.
Opposites, really. I mean, there's players like Bailey and stuff like that who pretty much like lost value probably since they joined. But
clearly on my fantasy team they did.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it became a shambles. And my first reaction when I first heard like they had like 2 weeks, I was like, man, I thought they would wait till the World Cup. But then you see that game yesterday and you're like, yeah, I better just do this now, because why wait and lose another 4 games before the World Cup? Maybe the new manager or the fact that, this drama, because I'm sure like there's a constant drama around the team because of this. So just eliminating that by, I guess, moving Gerrard out of the equation, maybe we'll just gain him a couple more points. And that's a lot more than they would get, I think, if he was there. I mean, a lot of people were like, oh, after Klopp and stuff like that. And when I said, no, I'd rather have Pep at the time, I kept getting hammered for it. But I think this was the reason why, because I think if he's at Liverpool, for example, he would get a lot more time. And I think a lot more disagreements, because kind of like the Ole thing at, United, when you bring a legend on, it's very hard for fans to kind of take the legend player and the legend manager and evaluate them differently, because you look at that guy and he brings you memories of his player days. So it's like a tricky situation. So I think, yeah, we were talking about on the Discord channel yesterday what his next destination would be. But I think, Gally, you were saying like a team in the Championship, which could be, I guess like good experience to come back to the Premier League. If he really liked it over here in the States, I was thinking maybe he'll come the Rooney way and come to a Major League Soccer team, but we shall see. I'm assuming he would take the rest of the season off, if nothing else. But so speaking of shambles, and so that Trevor's favorite topic comes on board, it's his boy Ronaldo. Okay, so we talked about this yesterday. Dude, we could we should kind of like a segment every morning just for Ronaldo headlines. But so we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and we were like, hey, like they said this last time, they didn't do shit. Well, they do shit this time, Trevor. They do suspend him. And then, the word comes out that they might actually let him go on a free agent, because I think they realize nobody's going to fucking pay for him and he's going to get out of there. So at least let's get rid of his wages kind of deal. And then Ronaldo kind of puts out a statement that's really half-assed, and he's not even like, like we all lose our, it's just like not even like an apology. It's more like, shit happens, what are you gonna do, kind of a statement. So 24 hours later, what do you say now about Ronaldo?
I don't care. It's one of those things where everything started trickling out that he refused to go into the match. He didn't tell anybody who was leaving before he left. And he kind of just stormed off like a petulant child. I just don't get it, how it's gotten to this point with him that everything is so. It's just petty is the only word I can think of over and over again, because it's something where you look at him and with just the career that he's had, and he's had so many successes across every single stop he's been. And now it's one time that he's facing anything resembling adversity. And
they're full sleeves. Full sleeves.
They're not frayed.
They're not afraid. They're not cut with scissors.
No.
Go ahead. Leave it to
Yeah,
Victor to interrupt. Yeah, go ahead.
No, please interrupt me from having to talk about fucking Cristiano Ronaldo. I welcome it. But it's one of those things where there's zero self-awareness with the guy. That statement proved it even more so. You take one iota of accountability for once in your existence. When everything's going great, you accept all the plaudits in the world, and now your team is starting to turn it around, and you have nothing to do with it, and you want to go pout in the corner. Go pout in the corner. And teams have already said they don't want to take him on even on a free, because he won't take a wage cut. So let him go someplace. Go play in Russia or something. Just go away at this point. I don't care about him anymore. And I say anymore as if there's been a care of him for these past few years.
I'm sure there'll be more headlines in the morning.
Oh,
so
there'll be one Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah.
So, Gally, here's the thing. Ten Hag, right? So what is your gut feeling? Did this guy want to get rid of this guy from the get-go? Or he, just like any other manager who has some kind of an ego, because all these guys do, say, you know what, I can probably make this work. No, I do want Ronaldo here initially. And then he was like, oh, fuck, man, I don't want this guy here. Like as they went into preseason, and obviously nobody wants him. And that's partially on United as well. I think they probably wanted money for him. They didn't want to give him away. They definitely didn't, they didn't want to like just release him, have him end up in Chelsea scoring goals against United and stuff. But what do you say? I mean, like, what do you think Ten Hag was, or was this Ten Hag's kind of like what he wanted to do the day he signed?
So the day he signed, I believe he, in his heart, believed there was zero chance that he was going to be at that club come the opening day. So he said all the right things that a manager says, before a player's supposed to show up for training. So you can look the player in the face, say, we both know we're both working to get you out of here. Let's just keep it quiet, keep it right. Then I think the board told him, we're not getting any offers, and we've already ate shit for 12 months with this guy here, right? We fired a legend because we brought him in and changed all the tactics that were semi-working, and how they got rid of Ole unceremoniously, basically because he wouldn't tailor his game to Ronaldo. Then Ronaldo basically does his hiatus and doesn't show up for preseason, once again telling the club how much bigger he is than them. And, even Ten Hag, now he's going up saying things like he wants to be here, he's going to be here. And then Ronaldo's like, what? All the cryptic comments, like basically they never had a conversation. To me, that lets you know Ten Hag didn't want him. Because if Ten Hag really wanted him and thought, I can be the man who corrals this version of Cristiano Ronaldo, he would have called him before he took the job. He would have called him day one. He would have made sure they talked so they were on the same page. And instead, he just kind of got embarrassed. So, I laughed at Ten Hag when he benched him for a half and then put him in. And I was like, that was useless. I thought it was one step in the right direction, 3 steps backwards. This is to me showing that the board believes in Ten Hag, that they have the guy who's going to be there for a few years. He did not decide to go to the podium and tell the world this morning and confirm that Cristiano refused to enter the match without approval from the bosses. Like, let's be real here. Like, these guys know what they're saying, right? We always joke how Klopp is both fun and jovial and irritable and aggravating. Paul just referenced and confirmed or compared me to Bill Belichick. No one commands a podium, says less, and tells you more about what he's feeling than Belichick. Like he owns it. But still, at the end of the day, if he went to say something that one of the owners was like, well, shut your fucking mouth, he's going to shut his mouth. Like they know what they can talk about. So to me, he's out. When he's out, I don't know. I think that Manchester United is genuinely going to regret signing Cristiano Ronaldo for the second time for a good 5 to 10 years. Because I really believe he set their progression to being a competitive product back by at least half a decade. between last year and this year. The players they've lost, the players they've signed. Heck, the fact that he didn't end up at City is the only reason United signed him. They were afraid of him coming into Old Trafford and scoring goals in light blue. And who knows if they would have signed Holland? Who knows what they would have done? Who knows if they wouldn't have imploded last year and he wouldn't have made half of that team want to leave? And I just, once again, United can't get out of their own way. Normally, United's bad mistakes are my pleasures. This one, I'm not so sure. I think I would have rather see Ronaldo go and blow up the other side of Manchester, to be honest.
Yeah, that would have been a fun one to watch, right? I mean, but here's the thing, though. I don't know if that would have happened, or I don't know if there would be a way to, Pep would have handled it differently. Bigler says, if I'm Ten Hag, I'm delighted. He just made me making a decision to leave him out 1,000% easier. And I think here's the thing that Ten Hag has got, and Sparky says he'll be released on free in January. I think what Ten Hag has done is he has rolled the dice, and with the wins he's gotten, I mean, okay, now the fan base is like, okay, yeah, especially how he's done it, they're finding it more and more difficult to kind of support Ronaldo. But let's face it, if his rolling the dice, and we as Liverpool have a freaking big part in this, when he rolled the dice and benched Maguire and Ronaldo and stuff like that, if they did not get results, he will be in deep shit, and there'll be a bigger chaos, because there are people who will be like, how can you, if you have Ronaldo, you play him and stuff like that. And, oh, you have like 80 million, you get to make it work and make it in the system. How is this any different? Blah, blah, blah. He would be on the line under pressure. We kind of helped him by losing to United. And then he has gotten some big wins along the way, like the one yesterday, especially that was with a good performance to boot. And that kind of gives him more credibility and leeway to say, okay, do your thing, I guess. If we go out there in Old Trafford and we win 3-0 or something like that, even if it's not as big of a hammering as last year, even if we win like 2-0, whatever, and if we win over there, I think we're talking about a whole different situation here. He got a couple of key wins after he made those brave moves that bought him more time, more leeway, more, I guess, courage to do other stuff. And yeah, I would have loved to see Ronaldo stick around a bit more and cause more drama. But I agree with Sparky. I think he is going to be released free. I just don't know if they how would they find a way so that he does not go to Chelsea and just like banging goals against United or something like that. I mean, that will be the thing, because that's the kind of stuff that Chelsea would do.
Yeah, I don't know though. I think the Graham Potter thing, I think he's got good control there. I think they're actually buying into him, and they're giving him his carte blanche and letting him make his moves. They let him go away from Mendy and go to Kepa. He's made some other key decisions. He's not playing Jorginho as much. I don't know that Ronaldo goes anywhere in the EPL, actually. I think he literally sulks off, and maybe goes to Portugal in January. And then maybe, honestly, come next year, he actually considers just taking the money grab. If it's true that Insigne made 14 million in the MLS this year, Ronaldo can make 20. So, if they found a way to pay Insigne $14 million, I think he could come over here now that his legal troubles seem to have cleared up. Not that we can talk about those, without saying alleged legal problems. But really, to your point about the great fixtures and the results, Ten Hag's got wins against Liverpool, Spurs, and Arsenal this year, and then they got Chelsea on the weekend here. If they had actually picked up the amount of points and didn't get drubbed by Brentford 4-0 and didn't draw with Brighton, didn't draw with Newcastle's, right? These were all matches that were winnable for them. They'd be right near the top with Arsenal right now, because they've actually gotten the results other than the City one and all the big matches that they've played. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I was shocked to read this morning, the last 9 times Chelsea and United have played, even the dumpster fire that United is, it's 3 wins to United and 6 draws. Chelsea hasn't won in 4.5 years against United.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's nuts. It really shocked me. And that's all the lower end. But I got to jump off here. But one that I heard today that made me chuckle was I heard basically Villa's down to Ole and Pochettino. And either one would make me laugh. Because if Pochettino goes, you get a guy who coaches up players. But if Ole goes, it would be great to have him come in and actually start to succeed there, because that would put so much more pressure back on United and Ten Hag.
That's true too.
And it would just the drama of having that little Gollum-looking weasel back in the Premier League would kind of make me laugh too. So I just found that a little comical. But I'll let you guys wrap up the show. Thanks for letting me jailbreak it and talk a little bit about Villa. And I apologize again to the Villa fans for being right. It's not my fault. But hey, you got 2 extra months to go find a manager who will get you out of the relegation zone. Maybe.
Take it easy, man. Yeah, you got to figure. I mean, the Sporting thing looks very likely. Really, they're still in the mix for the Champions League. He can go over there. I mean, they can go to the next round and stuff. And at least he won't be. I don't know. It would be more like going back home or kind of something like that. He can put a more like a positive tailspin to it, as opposed to, I don't know, like ending up with like a second tier team in another league. That's not like, like a bona fide winner kind of a deal. But I'm sure we'll talk more about your boy here, Trevor. Let's talk a little bit about
looking
the weekend.
Forward to it.
I'm sure you do. Okay, looking forward to the weekend though. Tomorrow, Krakow down. By this time tomorrow, the game is going to be over. It's that goddamn early. What are you expecting after what we saw over the last 3 games? What are you expecting to see in terms of lineup and in terms of play?
I really feel that this is a game where, especially after West Ham midweek was one where after City were like, okay, this is one where they have to kind of go put a league stamp on it, because you can beat Rangers up. That's all well and good. And the Bournemouth 9-0 seems like a distant memory at this point. But you have to go and just really have a statement game in the league where you kind of not necessarily solidify yourself as being back, but really just go hammer a team that you should. Don't give them any opportunities to kind of go into your deficiencies, especially defensively. If we're going to run Trent out there from the start, just kind of paper over the cracks, go out and just thump Forest like you should. And then we kind of just move on from there and then recalibrate.
I mean, that's the thing. I just feel like this is the kind of game that, as long as we do not do our usual start slow, because I mean, this is a big rivalry over the years. Like it goes way back. So the home crowd is going to be really into it. This is kind of like a fixture that they have not seen in a long time. Blah blah blah. So, and Forest at home is a lot better than Forest away. That's for sure. Not that it's a huge difference, but it's
better. Yeah.
How should I say? Unless we start slow and let them get a goal or something like that, I feel like the quality over the course of the game should see us through, because they're just not good right now. But I guess that's like the big but is like, we don't know if how we're gonna start. It's always kind of like rolling the dice kind of deal. I kind of like the West Ham game in terms of how we started the game. Obviously, the City and stuff like that. But you can't even go back far to the Rangers game, because it's not like we started that game good either. You can only kind of like go back to like the City game in terms of like starting a game on the front foot and scoring the first goal. So that's, I think, important for this team to get that first goal. And I think if we do, this won't be like a West Ham game. I think this will be more where we get like more goals and stuff like that, like take advantage of the spaces, because I think Forest will have to come out a lot more.
Ooh, my new co-host, a spinning circle.
Oh, you can't see me or something? What's going on there?
No, you turned into a spinning buffering circle for a second there. I thought you got sucked into the void.
Yeah, but that's probably shortly. But there's no big enough void to suck me in. Okay. So in terms of lineup, though, I mean, really, we can't have too many changes, right? Because there are not as many people out there that we can put in. I guess the main question is going to be the 2 in front of the defense. You would think you'll see Robertson back on the left-hand side. The 2 in front of the back 4, who do you expect to see there?
I think Henderson has, just the way he played against West Ham, has made it so you can't really drop him unless he's not 100% healthy. I think that's something where he's got to stay in there. and this is probably a game where you can kind of give Thiago a day off and pop Fabinho in there and really just kind of give him some run in a game where he's not going to have to do a lot, so he can kind of get adventurous a little bit offensively and just kind of get his reps in that regard. But yeah, I don't think you need to make any wholesale changes. Maybe those two. I don't think any of the people up front you're really going to take out, especially when we're running low on options up there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that Robbo for Simicast and probably Fabinho for Thiago are probably the only two changes I personally would make for tomorrow.
I think that makes sense. But the only thing that I question with that one is the fact that Thiago, if we talk about, like we were talking about something last game, right? You look at the game behind too, kind of like adjusted that way. I mean, if you try to read that by the substitutions, you would think because Hando played pretty much the whole game, well, not pretty much, but the entire game, whereas Thiago came in out of 60, I don't know if that kind of signals the fact that we are going to see Thiago and Fab and not try out Hando out there again. Hando is going to be the one that comes in the 60th minute, but that's just reading the substitutions more than anything else. I think that's going to be hard to predict. Up top, do you expect to see Elliott again going with the same theme? He came in like the 57, 58, somewhere around there in the last game. Do you expect to see him out there with like Bobby, Nunez, and Mo, or do you expect a different change up top? Like,
no, I think at least starting, he's going to try to run the same guys out there, kind of give Carvalho a chance to run at it again, even if he wasn't super successful this past game at doing what was asked of him. There's only one way to kind of get that through, is to just give him more chances at it, especially against a team like Forest that is pretty sad defensively. If there's any way to build somebody's confidence, and that, Forest is a great boost. Look what it did for look what it did for Leicester City season facing Forest. Brendan was going to get hung in the town square, and now they have 3 clean sheets this month. They're pulling themselves out, not entirely out of danger, but it's not as bad as it was. And you have Forest to thank for that. So all the people that want us to just bash Brendan all the time, you can thank Nottingham Forest for taking that running gag away from us.
It just scares me, man. This is such a typical like a game that you kind of like said, the banana skin, like it's like a trip there where you see this team, you look on paper, they've only scored 7, conceded 23. I mean, they are kind of overall in shambles, very disconnected, but I just worry about, if it was home, I think I would feel a lot more comfortable and say, yeah, we're eventually going to break him down and like get like 2-3 past them. The fact that it's away kind of scares me. And the fact that it's an early game kind of scares me. For some reason, the boys do not perform as well in these like early games in the day. It's been kind of like ongoing for a long time now. So that's probably my only worry. I mean, I still think we will win. I just know not as comfortable as, the worrying side of me is starting to creep back in. I was the optimist when we were playing like crap. Now I can go back to being the pessimist and the worrier. But what do you have for a score prediction? What do you expect tomorrow?
All right. I'm just going to, we'll keep it simple. A 3-0.
A 3-0.
I'm taking the goal that I gave West Ham off the board. No penalties, please, Joe. Don't come with the old Triple H high knee on somebody in the box. Just don't do that to me. And then drive home safely.
Yeah, I go with a 3-1. It's been nice having these clean sheets. It's been a lot on Ali to basically get them across the line, right? But I think it's a 3-1 win, but it's like a comfortable 3-1 win is what I'm hoping for, a comfortable 3-1 win first thing in the freaking morning. But we'll be here with the post match. So right after the game, we'll be on board. Another programming note, by the way, kind of like stay tuned. Sparky Parker says 4-0. I'm sure if like Boaz was awake this early in the morning, he would come up with a 4-0 Nunez hat trick, his regular prediction for every game that will eventually come true, one would think. But quick programming note, though, I will be out and about next week visiting New York. So if you're in New York, you might not want to come out for like a few days because I'll be in town. So heads up to everybody in New York. So they'll be like, we'll be doing it like a separate timing. Maka will be filling in for me. So hopefully, probably like earlier in the morning, even a more hectic Trevor, probably first thing in the morning next week. So keep an eye on our Facebook page to see updates on that one. We'll probably announce that sometime over the weekend. Trevor, thanks a lot, man. And thanks to all those like listening, commenting. Let's have a great game tomorrow, and we'll see you guys at the post match right after the final whistle. Take care, everybody.